How's it going, people? Welcome back to the Supporters Club. Today we're discussing a couple points, Welbeck's injury and Sterling's showboating over the weekend. Today I have with me Claude, Mo and Lumos. I'm going to start with Welbeck's injury because that's something that's come up recently and it's divided fans' opinion, and I've received some stick for my interview over the weekend because of it. I mentioned that we're not a daycare centre, and that was the main criticism I got. But Claude, how do you feel about Welbeck's injury and him signing a new contract? Would you offer him a new contract or not?
It's a difficult one, but what I'll say, it's very sad what's happened, and we do miss him because his impact off the bench was really vital for us over the last few weeks. Would I offer him a contract? No one knows. You can't really see how bad is the injury. Will he get fully recover from the injury? That's hard because on his contract's at the end of the year.
Yep.
Maybe a 1 year option.
Is that
I
sentiment?
don't think you can. I don't think it's not sentiment. I think maybe a 1 year option. It's very difficult to give him a 3 year. I mean, I don't know how old is he now. 27, 28 now.
Yeah. Let's assume it's a 1 year contract. You're right. Let's assume it's a 1 year.
I'll maybe give him a 1 year. I think he deserves that, a 1 year contract. Yeah. I know you're going to say about we can't be sentimental, but he's recovered before from big injuries, isn't he? So, and he's been good off the bench for us. He's been really vital for us. So I wouldn't completely discard him, but it's a very difficult one to answer, really.
Yeah, I agree. He has come back well.
Up until the injury, and you know, he was playing really well. I mean, the goal he scored away in the Europa League, vital goal again, great finish. He's come on. He gives you energy up and down, in fact, against Liverpool, I would have actually started him against Liverpool because he gives you that energy up and down the line, you know.
He's very efficient in terms of work rate, energy.
And you know, you can't take that away from him. I would possibly give him a 1 year. It ain't going to hurt us to give him a 1 year contract. Beyond that, it's a bit difficult. Yeah, definitely. But I'd give him a 1 year.
Definitely. Mo, how do you feel about the Welbeck injury and the offer of a new contract?
Well, you know, look, first thing, as Claude said, you know, gutted to see him get injured, and especially get injured like that. And obviously, I wish him a full, speedy recovery and everything, because, you know, when I saw the picture, it looked bad.
It's horrific, yeah.
Yeah, it really did. I couldn't tell whether maybe sometimes a picture can play tricks on you, whether his boot had half come off. It just looked so unnatural that, you know, it was just horrible to see. But glad to see he's had 2 successful operations, and, you know, now he's on his crutches and recovering. But I have to say, the one thing that I've said about Welbeck, and I think just absolutely it sums him up, is you can't hate him even if you don't rate him. You know, that's what I think about Danny Welbeck. He's a very, very likeable guy. He's a very honest, good, hard-working professional. Even if you're a fan of another team, I don't really think you can have much reason to hate the guy. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, you might not think he's the best player in the world, but, you know, you can't hate him. But if we are trying to remove all sentiment out of this conversation, I personally wouldn't give Danny Welbeck a new contract, and that's not to say that, you know, he hasn't done the job that, you know, we expect of him when he comes into the team. But for me, I'm looking at the bigger picture here, and we know what Danny Welbeck's about, and we know what his potential is. I think he's reached his potential. I don't think there's more to come from him, and, you know, it's a shame because he has got some value, you know, in terms of what he can give you on the pitch. I think, especially under Emery, he's a great presser of the ball. He really offers his wing back good protection and that sort of thing. But for me, it's about the opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost is that if we're playing him and we give him another contract, Eddie Nketiah might as well leave the club because he hasn't played a single minute under Emery so far this season. And, you know, while Welbeck is above him in the pecking order, he's not going to. And then when we go back to potential and think, all right, what's Welbeck's potential? I know that, and it's not going to pull up any trees for us. And what's Nketiah's potential? Nketiah's a young striker that I'm very, very excited about. Yep. And I don't know whether you guys agree with me on this about Nketiah. It'll be interesting to see, because obviously we haven't seen enough of him. Yeah, exactly. But I've seen some raw potential in Nketiah, where I think, actually, I'd rather see you start than Welbeck.
It's the same, yeah.
Yeah, and for that reason, I'd say, look, you know, we don't need to, as you mentioned, you use the daycare analogy. I'm not going to do that because, you know, you're obviously being a bit like...
Yeah, like I was about to say I should have got you to write my AFTV interview on Saturday, because you basically said what I said on Saturday,
Exactly,
but much
yeah.
better.
Yeah,
much better. And
but do you know what you've done, right? You've worded it in a way like Paul Merson worded it.
Yeah,
You've been a little bit like kind of loose with your words and that sort of thing. And actually, just like Paul Merson, you're making a good point. We are not a charity. We've got to use our resources wisely. And had you said it like that, maybe people would have agreed with you.
Definitely,
but I agree with your sentiment.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to make sure we put our resources in the best place.
It's just because, Mo, like, I look back at injuries at Arsenal, and I look back at some names in particular, Cazorla, who's just come out recently, and we found out that we offered him the year, even though we knew for that year who's going to be injured. It was more of a, we'll look after you, don't worry about money thing. Footballers don't need to worry about money anyway. At the end of the day, if he didn't sign for us, and I loved Cazorla, if he didn't sign
Wenger,
for us...
isn't it? That's Wenger.
Yeah, it was Wenger, but it's also some of the board that are still in place now. So has it completely
The
gone?
trouble with that in the past with Wenger, I think he put more care for the players rather than more care in the team as a whole.
And the fans.
Yeah, I think he was more caring about the players individually than actually what it's doing for the team.
Yeah, because he built a connection with a lot of players.
And I think that's a very weak, one of his very weak points.
And when I go through again, DRB, Van Persie, if I take these three names and say, how did they benefit us looking after them?
Well, Van Persie did, you know, in the end, because
for that one
at the
season,
start of his Arsenal career, I think he was injured for about 4.5 years out of the 8 years he played for the club, something silly like that. But then ultimately it all came good because when he was fit and we saw that potential in him and we knew that actually he's worth hanging on for. But Welbeck's not the same category.
Exactly. Even Cazorla, not the same category. These are elite players.
Back to Diaby as well. I mean, even for that injury, I think would have been one of the most talented players you'd ever seen. But look how many times we were hoping he was going to come back.
Yeah, and
how many years we wasted on that.
And that's why I think I project my opinion in another way to Mo, because Mo's gone through the same stuff as well. We've gone through injuries where we've signed up players, but with me, I've just taken it as coupled up with the fact we pay the most, coupled up with the fact we haven't been competing. Add to that, we're looking after players that are injured, and they're making a head. Like I said to Lumos the other day, when I had my knee operation in March, did any of the Arsenal players give a shit? Did any of the Arsenal board? Genuinely, a lot of even you lot wouldn't have given a shit because you don't know or you don't. So why should people telling me to have more sympathy to him? I'd get well soon, Danny. But you're a footballer who's made thousands of pounds and week on week for the past 7 years, and you will sign for another club. I want you to get well soon. I'd like you as a man, but for Arsenal Football Club, we need to move on from instances like this. And Lumos, I know you're the opposite to me.
Well, I feel bad now because the way you've worded it and the context of everything is a bit different from how I'm looking at it. So I'm looking at it like this season at the start of the season before Emery had his influence and that, I would have thought to myself, do you know what, Danny Welbeck, I wouldn't mind seeing him go at the end of the season. But the way he's playing, the way the team, the camaraderie is around with players, I just felt like he deserved a new deal. And then to get that injury like that, I felt, you know what, let's just give him the year. And just because like I would have given him the contract anyway. But like I said, you do make the fair point of where we're not a charity and stuff like that. But for me, it's like I'm looking at it as if DRB, Van Persie, Cazorla didn't exist before. That's the way I'm trying to look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can understand why Arsenal fans will feel this way because we've had so many players that have been injured in the past and we've taken care of them. And like even for example, Jack Wilshere now.
There's another
See
example.
what I'm saying? Like, so I do understand the point. But for me personally, I just felt like in this case of Danny Welbeck, I would have just given him.
But you make a really good point when you say that you would have given him the contract anyway.
If I was feeling like he's surplus to requirements and he hadn't showed me anything this season to make me think, let's keep Danny Welbeck, then maybe would have thought, boy, it's sad to see, but we have to let him go.
Because ultimately what we need to try and do here is remove all sentiment and say, is he worth giving a contract for just based on the value he brings to the team? And you're in a way, you're rightly saying, if you thought that before, then you should still think that now. Because if the injury isn't career-threatening and doesn't have any lasting impact, well, then your original choice should remain, right?
And also, there's the point of him. He's always bounced back from injuries.
But you see, that's where we differ, because I wouldn't have given him the contract even without the injury.
Okay.
Even with Jack Wilshere, everyone was moaning when, we let him go on a free and all this, But look at this season.
Yep.
He's broken down again.
Yep.
So that turned out to be a good decision. I like Jack, but I like Jack Wilshere, but these injuries keep happening time and again.
Yeah. And also the point of Wilshere, we wanted to keep Wilshere, but we just said, listen, we can't guarantee you're going to start every week because we don't know you're going to start every week.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be
everyone, and there's a lot of people that didn't like that decision, but it turned out.
I understood it. I didn't like it, but I understood it. I had to accept it because it made sense the reason why he didn't want to stick around, and it made sense the reason why he was given that reason to not want to stick around. You know what I'm saying? I could see both sides of the argument with Jack Wilshere.
He's broken down again, isn't he?
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Mark.
So I was just going to say, the one thing that we've heard from a lot of Arsenal fans, like the vast majority of Arsenal fans, I'd say, is that Arsenal need to be more ruthless in the way we do all of our business in terms of contract negotiations, transfers, all of this sort of stuff. So on one hand, a lot of fans, I'd say the vast majority of Arsenal fans would say that, and on the other hand, when you're being ruthless, they're going to attack you for it.
Yeah,
so you can't have it both ways.
You look at I'm looking at other clubs like Man United when they weren't in the heights. Ferguson didn't. Paul Ince out.
Beckham, gone.
Ruthless.
Beckham gone, ruthless. Yeah. Roy Keane. Everyone thought Roy Keane was untouchable.
Yeah,
but he's gone.
And now look at him. Now they're giving Ashley Young a new contract.
Exactly.
Well,
maybe they're getting a bit soft.
Yeah, it's just and I can understand where you're coming from on that. It's just that he's playing so well at the moment. And then that happens. And
it is a shame because, like you lot said, he's picked up form, and if he continued the form for the year, I might have had an argument otherwise. But as I stand, even if he didn't get injured, I don't feel he's a good enough plan B for us.
Yeah,
I feel like if we are going to have a third choice striker in the squad, it needs to be someone with an aerial presence, that someone we can change up our style of play for in the 80th minute when we need a goal, fling him on like a Giroud, like a Fellaini, someone like that. So.
Actually, I remember your interview, Turkish, and I remember you saying that, talking about this plan B striker, and I remember you saying that Welbeck is too similar to Aubameyang and Lacazette. And when I heard you say that, I was like, are you mad? And then you went on to explain it in terms of what he doesn't possess, like the aerial, basically Giroud.
Not talent-wise, they're not
exactly,
the same.
And I really agree with that. We do need to be able to mix it up a little bit more, and Welbeck doesn't allow for that currently.
Yeah, because like the last two games, we have got goals in the last 10 minutes, which might counter my plan B argument. But there's going to be games when we don't get them goals. It's become stagnant, it's become stale. We continue passing around the box when we might wish for a Giroud or Fellaini.
But ultimately, what I'd say then is that, you're talking about Welbeck being similar in terms of style of play, not necessarily ability.
Yeah.
But then I'm here saying that I want Nketiah to get chances. But then Nketiah is the same.
Again, similar.
So then what do we do? Do we say that if we're not going to give Welbeck the contract, do we give Nketiah a chance, or do we go out and sign someone that is more in the Giroud mould?
Why I'd say give Nketiah a chance, also sign someone in a Giroud mode, but Nketiah should get a chance because he is the future. Aubameyang's 29, Lacazette's 27. We will need a replacement for them in the next few years coming up, and if Nketiah can fill that gap and that position is open for him and he can see it's opening for him, that's why I'd stick with a chance, whereas Welbeck is never going to be the first choice striker at Arsenal.
See, the trouble with Giroud, everyone's going about why did we sell Giroud, but Giroud was not going to, and he was only good for coming off, that's option, that B option, coming off the bench. But Giroud, because of the World Cup, did not want to stay on the bench, did he?
He had to do it for his career. Like, I understand completely why Giroud left.
Yeah. And also Arsenal had to do it because we had to complete the triangle between Dortmund, Chelsea and Arsenal. So.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree with you there, right? Because we have the money to do that without having to do.
But it's not about our money. It's about the other clubs.
Money. It's about slots and players being available because they lost Aubameyang. They need to get Batshuayi in, and Chelsea needed a striker.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea would have been holding off on letting Batshuayi go to Dortmund.
It's basically like buying houses. You need a house to move into, otherwise the chain breaks.
Yeah, it's because Batshuayi went to Dortmund, and I don't think Dortmund wanted a Giroud type striker. Otherwise, we could have put that in terms of a straight deal. That's why we needed Chelsea's presence in that.
I think Giroud's wife didn't want to go.
But that really messed us up, that Aubameyang deal, because really he couldn't play in the European games, could he?
Yeah, that rule's changed now as well.
But that's what was we wise doing it? Because shouldn't we all waited till the end of the season?
Because then us as fans would be like, well, we had the chance to sign Aubameyang in January.
But we would have got him in the summer.
No, but you don't know that, and then the situation can change. And we would have been adding Aubameyang on the list to
because
Higuain,
Suarez. Because Aubameyang was out, that European, I think that's what we needed. We needed Giroud at the time, and that's what messed us up in the end.
I'd personally say, given what we've seen of Aubameyang, I wouldn't now say that it didn't prove to be the right decision. I think we did the right thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to be honest, rounding up the Welbeck, I think well, Claude would offer him a year, Mo wouldn't, Lumos would, and I wouldn't. So we'll
Because
split
why
here
am
as
I
well.
offering him in a year? Because of what he done before this injury, and I'm thinking if he can get back that to what he was before the injury, I think he deserves a year. That's why I'm saying a year.
But we need to raise a level at
That's
Arsenal
it.
Football Club,
That's
don't we?
it.
I honestly think all of us.
But what he does, I know where you're coming from, but he does give us that option.
But you know what it is? Look, I look at other teams, yeah? We as Arsenal fans will rate Welbeck, will rate Holding, and we'll gas our young players, or we'll gas the English players. Whereas you look at a Man United and you look at a Lingard. Lingard's performed better than Welbeck over the last 2 years. But it doesn't mean that now Lingard that Man United would depart with Lingard. As to what Mo said, that is not the level of player that Man United need to compete with Man City and Liverpool.
Yeah.
So even though Lingard has performed up and down in spells in the past 2 years, he is still available for the chop. And that's how we have to look at Welbeck, and we have to look at players like Holding as well. If Holding, he's improved this season, but if he doesn't continue the improvement at the end of the season, it's another area we're going to have to look at. We can't hold on to this. Oh, he's got potential. Oh, he's got the fight. He works hard.
But at least Holding is young, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
that upper potential, he's got time to get there, and he needs to
Fulfill
show
it.
that trajectory. But with Welbeck, we know that's not going to happen, and that's my point on Welbeck.
As a squad player, 1 year is not going to be doing us a lot of damage.
But it
As a
might do
squad player.
Nketiah damage at this stage in his career.
And you like Nketiah as well, Claude.
Yeah, I do like Nketiah, but
But Nketiah is a really interesting one
I-
because
I-
Arsenal
I'm
did
not-
someone
I'm
the
not
other day
sure.
and they didn't rate him as highly as I did.
I'm not sure Emery rates him, because
Yeah.
as
He's
you
not had a
say,
single minute.
Not a
He's-
single
and he was
minute.
about to, but
and there was
unfortunately
games where he
couldn't
could
get
have
in,
played. He could have played, and
there's
he's not
definitely
been
been
brought on.
times. There's definitely times I thought like Eddie should be involved in this.
Maitland-Niles has
And
played,
he didn't come.
Smith-Rowe has
He
played.
didn't come on Sunday, did he?
He was going to.
Yeah, he was.
Wasn't
about,
he?
He was about.
No, that was in the
Sunday,
Europa League.
in the Europa
Yeah.
League game.
Yeah,
he was
but on
about to
Sunday he
come
didn't
on
come.
Sunday,
It was the option. We were sending on midfield players.
Yeah,
instead.
I thought Sunday as well. He could have.
He didn't come on, so maybe the manager doesn't rate him. So where do we go with Nketiah?
But then,
The manager don't
But
rate
then
him.
let's not remember, Harry Kane wasn't rated at Tottenham until he got a chance. And then when
Yeah.
you get that chance, that's when you prove yourself. So
I think these 2 games coming up, these 2-0 games in the Europa
Yeah.
League, he should be starting those. Both of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
But if he doesn't
100%,
start, then he won't.
100%.
He will never
100%,
get in.
yeah.
100%, definitely. Obviously, we'll round this up now because we've got to move on to the Raheem Sterling showboating over the weekend, and Mata had the word, Pep had the word. But how do you lot feel about this? Let's start with Lumos again. Showboating in general in football.
So for me, yeah, personally, I don't care when in a match you showboat, yeah, especially in a derby, yeah, do your
Yeah.
thing. But from a professional standpoint, looking in a footballer's perspective, I would say once it's like the 80th minute plus and the game's gone a certain way, and you know, like you in your home ground now, do your thing. Because you shouldn't be thinking, oh, my manager's gonna get onto me or my teammates gonna get onto me. Now the fans are there. They know, oh, we've got the points in the bag. Or they assuming they've got the points in the bag.
Yeah.
You're controlling everything. Do your thing. Light up the crowd. I love that even in front of Sanchez doing step over. Sanchez, they're looking lost. Man, are passing the
Fellaini,
ball
yeah.
around, man. It was great to see. And then Matt coming over chatting to man about, what are you doing? Like, it's a derby.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a derby. Maybe if it's not a derby, a Manchester derby like that, cool, whatever. I might understand why man's having a go,
Yeah.
but come on, man, you two hate each other. Let man
Exactly.
do his thing. Like, don't come and try to tell man what
Hold
not to
on,
do.
I'll go to another perspective, right? Ronnie O'Sullivan, this is snooker, yeah?
Yeah.
Ronnie O'Sullivan was beating this guy out of sight, so he changed the cue from one hand to the other, started playing with the other. Do you think that's right?
listen, man, it's...
Do you think that is right? I'm asking you.
Yes, 100% yes.
No, I just don't think, I mean, I think there's respect. There's a bit of
100%.
respect.
Football primarily is entertainment.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know it's entertainment,
So
but it's
snooker.
respect as well. Once you grind them into the ground, you don't need to do that.
Listen,
I'm sorry, I just can't
I
agree
get what
with
you're
it.
saying about
I
respect,
just
but
can't agree
ultimately,
with it.
look,
I can understand why Mata reacted like that, I can.
I think that is nonsense. Mata is well outside Juan Mata's remit to tell Sterling how to play his game.
Yeah.
And you don't know in Sterling's head what he's thinking in terms of some competitive advantage. You know, if Sterling is trying to entice someone on a yellow card to go and do something to get,
Yeah.
you know, you don't know what he's thinking or what he's trying to do. I do think, you know, you mentioned that you don't care when in the game they do it. I don't agree with that.
I said usually I don't, but it depends on the context of the game. But
Right, okay.
From like 80 minutes onwards, I would
Yeah,
understand it.
when the game is won, yeah, I as a as a paying match-going fan, would rather see showboating and give you something to cheer about and get the olays out rather than just simple tippy-tappy passing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And ultimately, the only people who should be asked about whether this is what they want to see or not right now is Man City fans. I don't care who else has got an opinion on
is
it.
this because
And his manager.
Is this because of your hate for me? Not hate.
I do
Come
hate
on.
him.
No, come on.
But look, listen,
Are we looking at it and on that
No, look,
respect?
let me be honest.
Because I know.
Henry has showboated in the past, you know, the fake
Yeah.
shot pass.
Yeah.
But he only ever brought that out when they were winning. Just how Sterling brought it out when they were winning. I loved it.
Yeah.
If he does it against Tottenham, I'd love it even more. Like, I mean, look, if we're going to get rid of all of this...
If he done it against Arsenal, would you love it?
No, listen, Nani did it against Arsenal, didn't he? Ronaldo did it against Arsenal. And when I see that as an opposition
just don't
fan,
think it's
I
right.
don't shout at the opposition players, hey, stop doing that.
Yeah.
I shout at my tough guy on the
Yeah,
pitch.
what the hell
I
are
say,
you doing?
Loren, chop him.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
well, that's
and
what-
and
that's
that's
what
what
he
I
should
want to
have
see.
done, yeah, that's what
So
he
instead
should
of United standing off, someone should have gone and
Yeah,
said to
that's-
Sterling,
Yeah.
I'm
Ronaldo
not
was
saying
fully
foul
standing and
him.
watching.
I'm not saying foul him or hurt him, but I'm saying you go and smash that ball into Rose's
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
agree
what
with that.
Let me
you
ask
should do.
Let me ask
Yeah,
a
yeah.
point. Yeah, what's the difference between that and a proper exuberant celebration?
Exactly.
Because if
Exactly.
if you score like a 80th last minute winner, yeah, in front of gassing it, you don't see them man coming over to you saying that celebration was out of line.
True, yeah.
The authorities do, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
as long as you keep it.
Do you know
straight,
what I
which is
thought?
a
And
bit-
I'm not,
that's
and
a
this is
stupid
where
one.
I'm not biased as well. I remember when Leeds were 4-0 down against, was it 3-0 or 4-0 against us when I think it was the 2004 season. We run them into the ground. We were brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I thought was very disrespectful what Henry done with the
Oh, the back heel and Mills in
the
corner.
penalty.
Oh, okay.
You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
need
yeah.
to do that. They're 4-0 down. You don't need to do. I thought that was.
Is that the period?
To me, no.
This is the dink, the Panenka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Did
think.
he score it, Claude?
He scored it, but,
So
I
did he do
don't-
his
but he
job?
doesn't. Yeah, but he didn't need to do it. They're 4-0 down. Yeah.
Don't
They've-
agree
they've
at all.
been
But when
embarrassed.
they're
They've
4-0
been
down,
embarrassed.
that
and they've
gives
been
you
embarrassed.
as a striker the confidence to be able to do your thing. You can start
Yeah,
trying things that
yeah,
you would normally
but-
do. You can start doing things that your
Exactly. And
manager would
that's when
normally
you've
cuss you
earned
out
the
for.
right to
That's when you've
showboat.
earned the right to do
You
it.
don't
Yeah.
have to rub it in. You
No,
don't have to
man,
rub
this is
it in.
football.
even
Listen,
more.
entertainment,
football is
Claude.
it's an entertainment business.
It's not the pros union.
Exactly.
You know
This
what
is
I'm
not
saying?
science. This is art. It's entertainment.
Nah,
If you're a boxing fan, the
I suppose you agree
boxing,
with me.
Nah, I
the
actually agree with you.
boxers that you remember are the ones that give you that buzz. We're talking about
I'm
Muhammad
sorry,
Ali.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
I'm
all the
sorry,
rope
mate.
dope stuff. That's what I want to see. man.
Leeds were down and out. I don't think that needed
Yeah,
to
you
be
know
done.
what Claude says that's interesting, because I was going to raise it just before you said that. Man United, Man City, no problem with what Sterling done. That's a Manchester derby, two big teams. But when a big team is playing a small team, I don't feel showboating is needed. I feel like you're kind of kicking them when they're down. So when it comes to an Arsenal Leeds, I get it. I do understand that it's different. If you're 4-0 up with Arsenal, and I don't even think the penalty is showboating. I think a penalty is a penalty. You're taking a risk doing that yourself.
No.
Whereas a showboating like Sterling done, if he'd done that against Huddersfield, 4-0 up,
Yeah,
I'd have a problem with it.
I see your point.
I understand that point. There's
Yeah.
a bit of a context to
I
it.
still think they're entitled to do it if they want to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I do see your point where it's almost unnecessary. What I want to see is players who have got the bottle to do that at the elite level,
Yeah.
not
But
just
there-
when it's easy for
But
them.
there is no difference because Man United were down. You say
But they're
it's
the
the
rivals,
difference.
though. There's the
Yeah,
difference.
but there isn't really because United were on the floor. They're fucking.
And you step
they've
on their
been
neck
down.
when they're on the floor then.
They don't.
man.
Yeah, they're on the floor. It don't need to be done.
But
You've done the
Claude,
damage.
if
Arsenal,
if
Tottenham.
that was Man doing that against Tottenham, there's absolutely no way saying Tottenham were on the floor. We shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, Claude, if Arsenal,
Yeah.
if, let's say for example,
If it
we've
will
got-
be nutmegs man goes back nutmegs man and starts
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
step overs,
yeah.
you're gonna be there
Tell
dancing
me-
with Kelechi.
Tell me, if Mustafi nutmegs Harry Kane
Not gonna
at the
happen,
end of
though,
a
is it?
derby when we're winning 3-0, would you come and Arsenal
more
fan
like the
TV?
other way round.
I know that, but would you come and Arsenal fan TV and say Mustafi shouldn't have done that, or would you be singing his praises and having a laugh?
I don't think it depends what if the game is.
We're 3-0 up, last minute of the
No, I
game,
don't think
Mustafi
it's-
makes
I
Kane for
don't-
fun.
I'm not going to change my tune because it's one.
Yeah, you would.
No.
That's surprising though. So how did you feel about Henry celebrating in front of the Tottenham fans when he scored that day? It wasn't showboating in itself, but it was an expression, and it was derogatory.
That was a
to them.
different situation because they were abusing him for the night.
You don't think Sterling was getting
City
abused?
get abused by United.
That's
Yeah,
a different situation, and plus it was an equaliser, wasn't it, at that time? Wasn't that an equaliser?
Or
Oh no! Was that was the 3-0, wasn't it? Yeah.
But let's also,
I don't know.
Let's
I don't
also
think it was
say
right.
this, right? I just think...
And that is wrong as well, because that could have provoked a crowd trouble. And like what Adebayor done as well, that could have provoked a lot of big trouble.
But let me
so that
ask you
was
guys
wrong.
this,
That wasn't right.
You put yourself in Juan Mata's shoes, yeah? Even if it's a kickabout in your local park, you're playing against someone, they're doing that. What would you do about it? If you see someone show it, what would you do about it?
Take him out.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Take him out.
Yeah, take him out. Don't wait till after to start crossing, man. If anyone should have been getting cussed by a match, it should have been Alexis.
I cannot believe that Juan Mata went up and did that. Because to me, as a football fan, if I saw an Arsenal player trying to tell an opposition player off for taking the mick out of our team, I'd be really annoyed with him. You know, that makes you look really pathetic. You're basically saying, please don't embarrass us. Please don't do that. Like,
it's like he looked past the fact that Fellaini and Sanchez weren't even trying to get the ball up.
Yeah,
I'd go straight to them and be like, are you lot okay?
Or do
the
it
guy
yourself,
out.
Mata. Do it yourself.
Either or,
I just can't believe that that's what it's come to for them, that they're basically pleading with the opposition to not mock them.
Yeah.
That's an embarrassing state of affairs.
I think last year happened, was it last year? No, when Neymar's last season at Barca, he received some criticism for doing skills in La Liga and he got taken out. But it's entertainment at the end of the day. There's a fine line between the entertainment and being derogatory about it.
Yeah.
It depends on the team you're facing.
Didn't have to do that. They won the game 3-1. They were comfortably in control.
But you never have to do it. In that case,
he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it.
Yeah, look at
Imagine-
Ronaldinho, for example. Look how much amazing things you see.
Exactly. Imagine
Ronaldinho's
Ronaldinho's career with no showboating.
Especially,
And let's not.
especially after that penalty incident that he was involved in. He didn't have to do that.
But look, imagine if we took all the showboating out of football. Nike adverts, you know, they actually market on this basis. In every Nike advert, there's a new trick. In FIFA, they've got the actual skills as part of the game that you can pull out and stuff. This is what people want.
Yeah.
If all of the people that pump money into football know this and they market it accordingly, because that's what people want, well, why shouldn't the footballers also give us what we want?
No,
I
true.
enjoyed it.
It's true. A lot of the best players in the world, a lot of the legends have showboating in them. Like you look at Zidane, Ronaldinho, even now to this current Messi, Neymar, they all showboat in their own way.
My favourite segment on Soccer AM is showboat.
Yeah, and isn't that what we pay for as fans, to see professional footballers doing things that we're incapable of doing?
No.
And especially if you're getting paid 300
I,
grand
as a
now, you
fan,
might
want
as
to
well.
see my team competing to win.
And don't Man City check that off?
And exactly, I want to see them win a game.
And so then once that becomes
and win it
run-of-the-mill-
well, yeah, and win it well and win the game properly, yeah.
But Claude, once that
if
becomes
you want to see
run-of-the-mill-
that, we want something completely different.
But
you
look,
know what I mean?
when winning is just in the bag, it's run of the mill. Man City do it every single week for fun. Then you want a bit more.
Yeah, come on, Claude. Like if you're going to see the game, yeah, and we're just passing the ball, boom, 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 score goals, boom, 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 score goals, and there's not really anything to remember. Like you can't say, do you remember that moment? Or when you go back, for example, you see the stuff that Arsenal does on social media, yeah, with those like the gaming graphic stuff of like the moves and stuff like that, or Iwobi's techers and that. You want to see stuff like that. That's entertaining.
Man.
That's like that as well inspires kids as well to go and play with a bit of flair. Something that the English game lacks. You see the whole way that everyone's picking on man for showboating and stuff. Like, you need to kick it out. You need to kick it out. You can't be thinking of like kicking out the imagination and creativity in football as well.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's what separates a lot of top tier players. Like you were saying, a lot of the top guys, they've got that in their locker. But it's about a balance.
Bro,
I like saying
Brazil's
that.
reputation is
exactly.
showboating.
There's a balance of having a bit of respect for your opponents. For example, the lower league people, I hear that. But when it comes to a derby, man, I don't care who it is, man. Do from the first minute if you want to. Just be conscious that you might get a bollocking from the manager.
For me, the game's won. I don't think.
But that's when you do it. I don't think it's acceptable to be doing it when the game's not won, because then you should be focusing purely on doing the best thing possible to get the desired result. If showboating is the best thing to do to get the desired result, then fair enough. But when the game is won, that's when you have that freedom of expression to do what you want. But you know what I say? We're talking about showboating as if it's like a, should we or shouldn't we? But if I say two words to you, Harlem Globetrotters, what do you think of? Talent or disrespect?
Disrespect, talent, both.
Yeah, perfect.
I think talent, man.
Yeah,
I
both.
think
That's an exhibition. That's a completely different thing.
those 10 minutes.
They're an exhibition side.
Those 10 minutes are an exhibition for Man City.
They're an exhibition. We're talking about a Premier League game, yeah.
Yeah, but we're saying that when
With a
he's
lot
now
of
saying
stake.
when it's won though.
Yeah, so where was the pressure? Did it look like a Premier League game to you? Because it looked like Sanchez was standing there watching to me.
Letting him to do what he wants.
And if you're going to let him do what he wants, he'll do what he wants. If you don't like it, don't give them the freedom to do
What he
it.
should have done, he should have
Taken him out.
He should have taken him
Yeah,
out, and there would have
100%.
been.
I think that's something we all agree on. He should If
Yeah,
you got a
I
problem
agree
with
with
it, take him out.
Not injure him.
No,
but,
no,
you know,
no.
As in, like, within the rules.
Take him
you know,
out,
do what
yeah.
you need to do.
Go through him, get the ball
Yeah.
or get the
Yeah.
man, whatever.
Like,
But look,
smash that ball
He
into
wouldn't
the
have-
post.
I'll tell you what, he
Overall.
wouldn't have got away with that in the 70s. He'd have been in the stand if he'd done that.
yeah, it's different
I'll
times.
tell you what,
Someone
no,
did say
no,
that
no.
about understand
I
anyway.
remember watching some like Premier League documentaries about when like the international players were coming over and then man were doing all the techers and stuff. And man were just getting clamped out.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
No time
But,
for that.
but like that's the thing. Like you saying, we praise Brazil. Brazil like
Brazilian
internationally,
kids are
like,
raised
when
on
I was coming
showboating.
up, when I was
Yeah.
coming up as a kid, like watching on TV in Jamaica, like when Brazil's playing, everyone wants to see a skill. You want to see Brazil play because they're going to do
Yeah,
something
exactly,
different.
exactly,
See what I'm
yeah.
saying? So.
Do you
No, I
remember that
agree.
Nike
I
advert
agree.
where...
In the
But
airport.
also, don't you think...
Or the
not
Portugal
that.
one.
No,
Don't
I'm
you-
talking about the Edgar David skill where he rolls the ball back, flicks it up and
Don't
kicks
you
it with
think
his
that's-
heel of his other foot. As soon as I saw that, I went out and I tried to do
Is
it.
that the one in the building?
Yeah,
They stole the
yeah,
building?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
they're
don't
trying
you-
to steal the ball. But what I'm saying is that when you see a skill, as soon as you see it, you want to go out and do it. You want to see professional footballers
Haven't
do
said-
these things and try and emulate it. It's part of the charm of football. That's why it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, yeah.
Having said that, right, don't you think that affected Brazil in the World Cup with Neymar messing about with all that, rather than getting the job done?
Yeah. It's like I said,
messed up,
it's
mate.
time and place.
Yeah,
Time and
that's
place.
where the balance comes
He
in.
was the
balance.
one. He cost Brazil a lot with all that crap he was doing.
It's
But
about,
that-
it's about balance.
Yeah.
It's about balance at the end of the day.
Right.
But
And
you
maturity.
can't say
Right.
it shouldn't be there.
Die-
Like
Going
Dennis
on the
Bergkamp
floor,
was the best
diving
example
about.
of it. Dennis Bergkamp didn't showboat for no
No,
reason.
no.
He did some ridiculous things on the pitch, but they were always at the right time for the right
Exactly.
reason. You know, like for example, he got an assist. Was it against Leverkusen for Ljungberg?
Yeah.
I think it was that game.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, it was for Ljungberg, yeah. And he was like dragging it back one way, then another, then
Juventus.
turning and spinning,
Yeah, yeah.
and then just dinked it into Ljungberg's path. And up to the point where he made that assist, I was like, oh, he's just taking the mick. Well, actually, no, he's not. He's got the maturity and he's got the the awareness about him to know when to pull it out. Obviously, Sterling wasn't doing it in that respect, but it's up to the player's discretion to do it. And as long as your team is no worse off, then fair game.
And that's the problem with PSG. That's why they don't win a lot of games. They get done because there's too much of that carry
Get
on.
ahead of themselves.
They've got players. They want to be all individuals rather than work as a team.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've run out of time here, lads. So thank you for Lumos, Mo, and Claude coming down. I didn't even get onto the JJ Okocha and how his showboating against
yeah.
us, but we'll leave that to
He
it.
did it against Arsenal, didn't
Yeah,
he?
exactly. Ray Parler got that. But yeah, thank you for watching Supporters Club. I've had Claude, Mo, and Lumos with me today discussing Welbeck, injuries, showboating, the lot. Let us know how you feel in the comments below. Also, let us know what topics you want us to cover and who you want to see on this show. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, share, and do all of that stuff.
Hi, how you doing, everybody? This is Ian Wright. Don't forget to check out my new YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Check it out, man. It's gonna be.
Yo, what are you doing, man?
I'm sorry, Rob. I had to touch the Holy Grail mic, bro.
No, you can't do that, bro. What are you doing? You can't do
Like
that.
a rascal like that, bro.
Don't forget to check out Ian Wright's brand new YouTube channel. The link is in the description. It's going to be brilliant.